שיר למעלות. אשא עיניי אל ההרים, מאין יבוא עזרי. עזרי מעם אדוני, עושה שמיים וארץ, אל ייתן למוט רגליך. אל ינום שומרך, הנה לא ינום ולא יישן שומר ישראל. אדוני שומרך, אדוני צילך, על יד ימינך. יומם השמש לא יככה, וירח בלילה. אדוני ישמורך מכל רע, ישמור את נפשך. אדוני ישמור צאתך ובואך, מעתה ועד עולם. מעתה ועד עולם.
I will lift up mine eyes unto the mountains. From where does my help come? My help comes from God, who has made heaven and earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keeps thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keeps Israel does neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is thy keeper. The Lord is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord shall keep thee from all harm. He shall keep thy soul. The Lord shall guard thy going out and thy coming in, from this time forth and forever. Friends, we've gathered in the midst of a Jewish holiday, a time normally associated with great joy, to perform a tragically necessary obligation. We've gathered to speak words of truth, words of tribute, of a beloved daughter of our people, a true life force, Adriana Kotler, of blessed memory. Even saying those words is difficult and bewildering. Adriana, as you know, was the beloved wife of the late Chaim, a man who is still revered and remembered in this community. Adriana was the devoted mother and mother-in-law of Vivian and Eli, Jesse and Louise, and Katie, the best bubby ever to grandchildren Uma, Palace, and Blaze. And of course, the circle of loss extends to so many extended family and friends. We are grateful today that under these very difficult circumstances, Adriana's daughters have agreed to speak to us. We will hear from Vivian and Jesse, to be followed by Katie.
In the last few days since losing my mom, I've noticed how different her death is than any other. It is the death of the person who conceived me, carried me in her womb, and gave me life. My flesh is her flesh, my blood is her blood, and my body is an extension of her body. And when she died, a part of me died with her. She was my first home, and my earliest memories are of the warmth of her skin, the tenderness of her touch. I could recognize my mother's hands out of a million others. They were so uniquely hers. The nurturing kisses and her incredibly pure love. She was the first person I was close to who cared for me, provided my first nourishment. The softness of her skin, her breath, and the comfort in her arms remain the oldest memories I have, no matter how many years pass, and especially the sound of her voice. What a beautiful voice she had. So rich, so expressive, so musical. When she allowed herself to be carried away by a melody, you could see it in her entire body. She would sing to me until I asked her to stop. I inherited her passion for singing and playing music, and we both got deep into very specific niches of music. She really got lost in the music. She felt every note so intensely, it seemed to flow through her very being. And how she loved Montreal. I haven't called Montreal home in a long time, yet I can never forget her deep affection for this city. Throughout my life, when my father was in and out of town and my sisters and I were often away, it was my mother who was my true home, a constant anchor to both Montreal and to our extended family. And in recent years, she became the last remaining member on both sides of our family who stayed behind, perhaps because of her unwavering belief in the city's promise or because of the cherished early experiences that shaped her love for it. She had arrived in Canada as a teenager and briefly stayed with her cousins in Quebec City before settling in Montreal. Her parents rented an apartment in the best school district they could find, and she began attending Outremont High. Undeterred by her limited English, she convinced the principal to let her skip directly to the 10th grade. Determined to fit in, she joined the theater program and performed La Ginetetta. She already had a talent for performing, singing, dancing, acting, and she also played the piano and the accordion. Later on, when she enrolled at McGill University, she belonged to that circle of intellectuals who wore berets, smoked gitanes, supported free love, abortion rights, union rights, human rights, and civil rights, and she protested the Vietnam War. She did very well academically. She studied sociology, which was then a relatively new field, and urban anthropology. She was particularly interested in how people from rural areas adapted to city life, and this exploration eventually led her to study urban planning. She worked her way through college, refusing financial help from her parents because, well, partly because they didn't have much money, but also because she wanted the freedom to make her own choices. So during the school year and summers, she earned money by working at Sherman's, a music store at the Côte de Neige Plaza. As an immigrant, she felt torn between her parents' values and the values of her new country. She was determined not to be the good Romanian girl she was expected to be. She chose to rebel and become as Canadian as possible. And by foregoing her parents' financial support, she kept her independence intact. In 1964, she met my father at McGill. He had immigrated at the age of 3 and felt much more Canadian than she did, so he guided her as she navigated her new environment, and they quickly became infatuated with each other. When Expo 67 came around, a shining moment in Canada's history, she heard they were recruiting McGill students at a rate of $100 a week for 3.5 days of work. Dressed in her best, she interviewed for the position and was hired, partially because she spoke more than just English and French. She found one aspect of the interview humiliating, being asked to stand up and turn around, but this was well before the Me Too era, so she said nothing. She got the job and still did well in school. At 20, she had made friends with people from the other pavilions, partied every night, and called it the best summer of her life. New country, new boyfriend, new experiences. Her confidence soared. Afterwards, she received a scholarship to study urban planning at Rutgers in New Jersey. She bought her first car, a light blue Buick Century, and continued dating my father, who was nearby at Cornell. Manhattan was of particular interest because they had launched progressive experiments aimed at making cities more equitable, creating low-income housing in central neighborhoods, reducing racism, and building environments for everyone's needs. And after graduating, my parents considered working in New York, but worried about my father being drafted to fight in Vietnam, which was in full swing. Curiously, my father was in favor of the war, while she opposed it, which led to many heated debates. So she decided to move to Ottawa without my father to work with the Ministry of Urban Affairs during a time of rapid expansion and new infrastructure. And she traveled extensively across Canada, flying to different cities to work on projects on federal properties, meeting local officials to plan building projects on federal land. Eventually, she returned to Montreal to work on the Lachine Canal project, the first industrial park in Canada, where she helped shape the future of this property. Politically active, she joined a movement to unseat Mayor Drapeau, who was seen as autocratic and championed more progressive ideas, but over time, she became more conservative, disappointed by some aspects of the liberal agenda. Thanks to her knack for securing good positions, she moved on to work at Via Rail in the Strategic Planning and Government Relations departments, continuing a remarkable professional journey that started with her determination to shape the city and the world around her. It's worth noting that along with having 3 kids, my mother was a remarkable professional force. She supported our family for many years while my father worked on getting his struggling business off the ground. She was incredibly driven, competent, a planner, a leader. She brought an unmatched level of competence to everything she did, always organized and meticulously prepared. She approached every challenge with clarity and determination. It is this drive and sense of responsibility that continue to inspire me in my own life. To those who knew her, she was a combination of spirit and strength. A curious mind and a strong sense of values guided her every step, and she approached the world with both grace and conviction. Whenever she decided to set her mind on something, she did so with clarity and honesty. Her authenticity became a guiding force that has shaped my life. She was unapologetically true to herself and unafraid to speak her mind. Her passion, the way she expressed herself. I am lucky beyond my wildest dreams that I got to have her as mom. She was so pure of heart, an incredibly unique and special person, beautiful inside and out. There will never be another Adriana Kotler.
I was with my mother taking care of her this last week of her life, which was the most harrowing and also the most beautiful time. It all happened so very fast, and I just keep going over and over it, so I want to share some memories. As many of you know, she had been in the hospital for 3 weeks. I've not seen her sick much in my life. She was fiercely independent, and being her daughter, she was usually the one trying to take care of me. And something happened while she was in that hospital bed. She let herself be sick and be taken care of. And that was very new, and I experienced her in a very different way. She received so much care by all the doctors and nurses, and she was so moved by this care, and I was just so moved to watch her receive all this care and hear about her experiences of being cared for. Just to watch her interact with the nurses. She joked with them. She asked them millions of questions. She wanted to know where they were all from and to know about each and every one of them. I watched her enjoy them, and what was just incredible was to watch the nurses enjoy her and delight in her. Watching them so appreciate and be impressed and amazed by her, it just made my own appreciation grow. We spent such tender and precious time together in that hospital room. One time she played me the music she loved, and we just sat there listening to music all night long. She loved music so much. Other times we sat in silence. I served her soup. I served her pear ice cream. We met doctors and doctors and doctors and had so many tough conversations. But she was so brave, so always determined to accept whatever news we got about her conditions, and she so clearly knew what she wanted for her end of life. Young volunteers came to sing to her before Shabbat. She sang with them. A nurse came in and danced. Flowers kept arriving. And she was filled with gratitude and delight. She was delighted a lot, and I delighted in her delight. After being in the hospital for 3 weeks, Christina, her caretaker / angel, and I took her home just last Monday. She was so happy to be home and bursting with life. After so many bedridden days, she giddily checked her mail. She played the piano. She cooked me an egg. We were not aware how close she was to death, and so we planned. We planned where to buy cookies for her friends when they came to visit. She wanted you all to come visit her 2 by 2 so that she could spend quality time with all of you. We planned to sit in the sun on her patio. She planned to have an extra beautiful garden this summer. She enjoyed every single moment of that day. In the middle of the night, I was awoken to hear her blasting music in her bed, which was highly unusual, and thinking that she would have so many more nights like this, not realizing that this would be the last good night she had, I asked her to put on her headphones so that I could get some sleep. The next day was different. She started to feel lots of pain and things got worse. I won't go into those details, but I spent lots of time these days laying in bed with her holding hands. And then my daughter Uma arrived, and the 3 of us lay in bed together holding hands, grandmother, mother, and daughter. She weekend, but was still joking with us, still thinking in the height of her pain what I could eat for dinner. As I planned to run to the pharmacy that last night she died, she told me to go to a particular restaurant with Louis and Uma because it was close to that pharmacy. I keep thinking about this, how she was dying and still thinking about our dinner. She was always thinking of me, trying to help me and everyone else. As she lay there dying, it was so important to her not to bother her palliative doctor because it was Passover and she was hosting a Seder. We connected like we've never connected, and it's just so heartbreaking for me to have experienced her like this and then to lose her all at once. Christina, Luis, and I were with her while she died. She had no fear, and we were able to have no fear with her. It was all clear and calm, and she had a very, very beautiful death. It's quite hard to explain, but it was profound, and I'm still in awe of the experience. I will miss her so much. As I embark on my new life in this world, with no mother and no father, I will hold all these memories close in my heart. Her courage, her special humor, her love, her intellect, her curiosity, and her absolute uniqueness. because she was like no one else. My mom was an outsider who taught me to be weird and intellectually curious, unabashed about one's tastes. As a youth in Romania, she would travel across villages singing. When she arrived in Montreal, she acted in plays and operas. She was a romantic in the Romanian kind of way. When she sang, it was either from deep in her belly or through a high melody. Her earnestness for love and beauty often made me giggle, but she never understood why. She was a woman who loved world music. Once, when I asked her what CD she wanted for her birthday, she gave me a list of musicians whose names I couldn't pronounce. She loved playing the piano and accordion when my father and sisters were out skiing on the weekend. She worked at a record store in the 60s and then drove me to guitar lessons throughout the city in the 90s. She encouraged me to apply for art grants from the Canadian government even before I decided to go to art school. I once brought her to a curatorial walk of a show I had put together. She asked the most pertinent questions and had the most astute observations. One of the artists in the show, upon meeting her, later told me that I was Adriana 2.0. She was a nonconformist who came from a communist country and mocked McGill professors who purported communism when it was hip to do so. In turn, she was grateful to Canada and what it gave to her: education, friends, Expo 67. She deeply believed in civic duty. She valued being cerebral over nurturance and thought that I, being a women's studies major, should practice feminism rather than study it. My dad once told me that she would show up to Via Rail in the 70s, where she worked as an urban planner, dressed in a tweed suit, smoking a pipe. We recently woke up one morning and realized that we had both put on the same purple plaid shirt. I'm gonna miss her so much it hurts.
I know I speak for everyone here when I begin by expressing enormous gratitude and admiration to the three of you for such beautiful, beautiful words about your mother, thoughtful words, insightful words, words infused with love, beautiful words, and also words that that remind us of a time of the recent past, but a time that was so meaningful, and really our heartfelt admiration, a beautiful tribute to your mother. Adriana Kotler was a life force in our community. She has left behind an indelible impact on so many aspects of community life, Jewish cultural life. You heard how much she just loved music. She loved our Chazan Adam Stotland, supported his endeavors, his artistic endeavors. She was CLES Canada, Jewish Public Library, the Mayor's Commission on Intercultural Relations. She was involved in everything, and everything she touched, she did with a full heart and the totality of her energies. There were no half measures with Adriana. She did everything completely and fully with enthusiasm and joy and optimism, and again, great, great ambition for the betterment of all of us. You know, she left this world Seder night. You know, Seder night is referred to in all rabbinic literature as Leil Shimurim, a night of protection. A night where that which is spiritual is so accessible, where the feeling of closeness to that which is eternal is tangible. And she left this world during those rare moments of absolute intimacy with the divine and granted protection. Adriana loved being a Montrealer. She loved being Jewish. There was nothing Jewish that was foreign to her. She was intellectually engaged, a brilliant woman who was always learning and always reading. And she did so all of her life for the betterment, really, really of everyone. Music is the language of the soul. Music expresses that which words alone can never achieve. And that was so deep in her soul, and her love and appreciation for it speaks volumes about who she was as a person and what she understood about our world and what she hoped for in our world. You know, she left this world at a night where our most popular songs are sung. Everything from Dayenu to Chadgadya. The songs of our people are really the songs of the Seder table, and that was the moment of her passing. You know, we sing Dayenu as a kind of ironic way to express thanks to God. But that's one word, Dayenu, it's enough, that Adriana never knew, because it was never enough. There was never Dayenu. Whatever she did, she wanted to do more, and whatever she was committed to, she worked for and worked even more. There were no limitations, there were no boundaries. Her energy was boundless, and she was committed heart and soul to all the wonderful things that we are so grateful for. She left behind a beautiful family, wonderful daughters, grandchildren, just a little world to the grandchildren. You know, your grandmother loved you very much. You know that. And you should be very happy and proud that some of your grandmother's happiest moments in this world were because of you guys. And you should always remember that and be proud of that. Remember that. You gave her so much love and so much joy. We hope and we pray that this blessed family, which has gathered today in sadness, should only have opportunities in the future to gather together in the celebration of life. And, you know, it was already said, but it bears repeating. You know, in English, when you use the word orphan, somehow it conjures up the image of a child left bereft of parents. In Yiddish, in our language, the word Yosim or Yosaima does not have the same connotation. Because no matter what stage in life we are, when we are left without our parents, it's a devastating blow. To have a mother, to live in a world with a mother is a blessing, an enormous blessing. And when that's taken, the pain is deep and profound, and our hearts go out to each of you. You know, Vivian said that when her mother passed away, a part of her died with her, and that's certainly true. But it's also true that large parts of her continue to live through you, and that's so important. You know, the book of her life isn't over. There are many more chapters to be written, chapters that you and the grandchildren will write. So much of that is because of who your mother was, and there are many more chapters to be written. We hope and pray that, again, you should only in the future gather for joy and celebration. And I just want to, we're going to close maybe on a, you know, listen, at the end of the day, Adriana was a baby boomer, and none of us who are, I'm a young baby boomer on the cusp. And we of course were the greatest generation ever. We did everything, and among them we did music. We did a lot of great music. And Adam is going to sing something that Adriana requested. So instead of concluding with songs, the original songs of our people of King David, we'll conclude with a newer song.
Before I sing it, I would just like to publicly thank Adriana and Chaim and the whole family for the support over the years, whether it was albums, concerts, shul events. They were true supporters of the arts, music, artists, Judaism, and forever changed my life. I was honored to be told that it was her request that I be here today. And in true Adriana form, she had a request that I sing, and I am honored to do so. And I will further the request that I know she would want everyone to join with me, as I think many of us know this song. L'chol zman va'et, to everything there is a season. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to reap, a time to kill, a time to heal, a time to laugh, a time to weep. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to build up, a time to break down, a time to dance, a time to mourn, a time to cast away stones, a time to gather stones together. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to gain, a time to lose, a time to rend, a time to sow, a time for love, a time for hate, a time for peace. I swear it's not too late. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven.
As you know, that song is built on the words of the Bible, the words of King Solomon. Due to Passover, Shiva does not formally begin till the conclusion of the holiday late Sunday evening. So, however, family will receive you this week. Although it's not formal Shiva, certainly family will receive you following the interment until 5 o'clock, and again this evening, 7 to 9. On Thursday, tomorrow from 11 to 5, and again 7 to 9. And on Friday from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Formal Shiva will be on Monday between 2 to 4 and 7 to 9. There'll be a service in the at the Shiva house Monday evening at 7:30 p.m. We would ask pallbearers to please gather. Shiva will be observed at 11 Albion.